Just got to remember what the questions.
We're back here on the Chase Thomas podcast with cousin Logan, who needs to remember the questions as the cat moves behind him. I didn't even know you had a cat. When did you get a cat?
I have two cats, actually. I rescued
Since
them
when?
I rescued them like 2 years ago, 3 years ago almost. Yeah.
There you go. What's this one's name behind you?
The black one is Dundee, and then I have a Maine Coon named Georgia.
Oh, there you go. Oh, and Dundee makes a full-on appearance on the podcast. Not camera shy, rather. So very cool, very cool. Logan, how are you?
Doing well. Excited for this week of football. Looks like it's going to be a good one.
It's going to be good, and I'm glad that Patrick Mahomes is healthy, and you watch the videos of him moving around, and he seems fine. I don't know how he's fine with a high ankle sprain and how he's moving around like that, but Patrick Mahomes is just not built like the rest of us, apparently, and he's just going to be totally normal.
Yeah, it was. I didn't. As soon as I saw him come back in that game, I wasn't worried about the next week. I think Patrick Mahomes is the sort of player that if he can physically tough it out, he'll try to, unless somebody stops him.
But not even just that, but he's just going to play normal. He's not going to be stiff in the pocket. It looks like he's going to be able to move around and do Patrick Mahomes type stuff, which is cool, because that would have been kind of a damper on this rematch in the AFC title game, as if Patrick Mahomes was limited and hobbling around and Chad Henne had to come in again or something. That would just be brutal for this, because the Bengals have won 3 straight against Kansas City. So this is one of those big moments for Mahomes in his career to kind of get the monkey off his back with Joe Burrow and kind of reassert his dominance over the AFC, because as of right now, the Bengals are favored on the road here in Kansas City, the last line I saw. So that it's going to be interesting as road favorites going into Arrowhead, but we shall see. Some coaching stuff, though, before we get into the games this weekend, Logan. This was not on the show sheet originally, but what you said last week, Carolina was your favorite job opening, and you thought it was the best job opening for a coach. They made a hire today. Frank Reich is now the new head football coach for the Carolina Panthers. I think this is actually
I didn't see that.
No, but I think this is a big hire. I think he was really good in Indianapolis for the most part. He had some issues with, just the revolving door quarterback play and having to deal with Carson Wentz at the end there. But beloved all across the league, did great stuff, obviously, with Doug Peterson back in Philadelphia, did good stuff with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles. Just a really good offensive mind, played quarterback at Carolina, which I'd forgotten about a long, long time ago. But I think was a good hire by and large to go in the Frank Reich direction. So what do you make of it as the big Panthers supporter that you are, cousin Logan?
Like you said, I honestly don't really know anything about Frank Reich. I'm much more of a player-focused person. Sometimes I don't even know who the coaches are, not head coaches, but yeah. So I couldn't tell you too much about him, but I trust your opinion on that. I haven't really been watching the Colts since Peyton Manning left.
Well, that's the whole family, I think. They all moved on once Peyton left. No second interviews for Sean Payton anywhere. The Panthers was one he interviewed for the first time. The Broncos he interviewed for. It was reported that Russell Wilson really wanted Sean Payton in Denver. It doesn't look like Arizona's going to happen. Houston's not going to happen. And you wonder, because it's DeMeco Ryans, I think, is the favorite now in Denver, the DC for the Niners. I wonder, because the two big ones, I'm going to guess the reason Sean Payton is not moving into number 2 and taking a job this cycle is because his two favorites did not open. And I think he's not just going to leave Fox in a good setup and just his analyst role and what he gets to do and just enjoy life and make a lot of money doing it. I don't think he was going to jump right back into just any opportunity. And I think the two that he probably would jump back into is Dallas, which has long been rumored that he's had his eye on Dallas, and that was something that he's always wondered about. But then it's the Chargers, right? That was the other one in LA, and coaching Justin Herbert and having that, and that didn't open up just the offensive coordinator job. So I think it's interesting. It's also if you're a franchise that has a quarterback that you believe in, and Sean Payton's I don't know, like Kyler, Russell Wilson, whoever, you're like, uh-oh, if Sean Payton's not dying to jump back into this and fix this, then we might have a bigger problem. But what do you make of Sean Payton looking like he's going to be back in the broadcast, in the analyst broadcast role in 2023?
Well, to me, that makes a lot of sense. Like, this is the first I've ever heard of a coach trade. I didn't know that was a thing. So I was looking at, and I'm trying to remember what they said. It was a long time ago, the last time there was
Belichick
a trade
was traded.
for a coach. But for a coach, like, that was before Belichick was with the Patriots, obviously, because he's never left the Patriots since then. Where'd he come from? The Giants?
The Jets.
The Jets. All right. So he coached the Giants before that?
No, yeah, he was like he was with Parcells with the Giants long before that because he was with the Browns.
Did you know that Bill Belichick has been on the field for every single Giants Super Bowl?
Has he? That's wild.
Yeah. Huh. Every single Super Bowl win, he was on that field, which is, a pretty crazy thing to think about. But last time they had a coach where they were trading him like a Sean Payton caliber coach, I believe they said it was like 3 picks total, either 2 first rounds and a second round. I'm not giving up any of those people to hire Sean Payton, honestly.
Belichick was a first-round pick, by the way, in 2000 from the Jets. They had to give up a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, and that is not something I'm doing with a guy that could just go back into retirement next year. And I'll probably get a lot of haters for saying this, but I don't think Sean Payton is the best coach. I don't think he's a bad coach, but I don't think he's worth sacrificing team talent at this point for any of the teams that need a coach. So if you go back and look, Sean Payton hasn't been to the Super Bowl since 2009. His playoff record as a head coach, 9-8, and 3 of those wins came in that Super Bowl run. Besides the Super Bowl season, he has never won more than a single playoff game in a season coaching the Saints. And what else? Yeah, that's just enough reasons for me to say this guy isn't the chosen one that's going to rebuild us in a year. I'm looking for, these players that are going to play for us for the next these franchise guys. Not as like coaches are obviously very, very important, but with Sean Payton already leaving the NFL, and it's like you just never know with the guy. He's the only coach in the modern era of football that has ever been or head coach that's ever been suspended for a whole season, I believe. He's just not. He's not my guy personally. So it doesn't surprise me that he'll go back to being an analyst. Like, I'm not sure what else he could do. It's not like he can put on pads and play football now. I don't know what there really is to do if you're not going to coach besides be an analyst.
And I mean, he's fine at it, and he's fine with the herd, and he seems like a cool, chill dude. I'd love to talk football with Sean Payton. I just think he's somebody who he has the mystique, right? Where he walked away, he didn't get fired, anything like that. He saw the writing on the wall in New Orleans, where it was like, look at what happened this year with the Saints, where the cap was what it was. They didn't have the quarterback anymore. Breeze was gone. Just guys were getting expensive. Michael Thomas was never healthy. We were at the tail end with my guy Alvin Kamara being a dominant every down back in this league, and he just saw the writing on the wall where it's like, I don't want to do a full on rebuild and go through a bunch of losses and just compile these losses. So he got out, and like you said, it's going to require significant compensation to trade for Sean Payton, but I think there's only one team it makes sense for, and it's Denver. Because, Denver's kind of screwed here. Because they are fully in the Russell Wilson just universe. You're not getting out of the Russell Wilson experience anytime soon. You mortgage the future for Russell Wilson. Yes, the Broncos have the richest owners now in the NFL. But, this is what you have to do to get out of this. Because you made a really, really franchise-altering move to bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, thinking he was going to be your Peyton, where you brought him in, and a guy who's won a Super Bowl, a guy who has just, you expect he's just going to come in, be a leader, and guide you back to the promised land, because the Broncos have obviously struggled since Patrick Mahomes' ascent in Kansas City, and that didn't happen. And he was bad. Nathanial Hackett didn't work out. And if Russell Wilson wants Sean Payton, and if Sean Payton really does believe that they'll spend enough to build a winner around Russell Wilson and they're going to spend to do enough, then that's the job I would take, because I think the defense is really good. I think they have a lot of talent on that side of the ball, and I think they're going to be okay there. I love the receiver room when they're healthy with Judy and Sutton and Handler and who's the other guy? They just drafted somebody else. Tim Patrick from a couple years ago, who was developing, and he was out for the year because he got injured early. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of talent in Denver, and if I'm Sean Payton, that's the only one I'm seriously considering, because Arizona that's a dumpster fire I don't want to be a part of. Carolina's in the middle of beginning stages of a rebuild. I don't think that made a lot of sense. I don't think a lot of these spots around the league made sense for Sean Payton. Houston's going to lose a lot of games next year, even with Sean Payton. So when you're early in that rebuilding mindset, you don't need to be giving up first-round picks for a head coach. If you're trading for Sean Payton, you need to feel like, if we trade for this head coach, we are going to win the Super Bowl with this guy. He's the final piece to getting us over the hump, and I think that's only the Broncos who fit that mold.
And I don't think the Broncos have a shot in hell at winning the next Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Even if Sean Payton is their coach and some miracles happen, I don't see that happening. Do you really want to go coach a quarterback where that own city doesn't even want that quarterback?
Well, that's the task, is to flip the script. Do you believe that you can flip that?
I don't know. I don't think you can flip it unless Russell. You definitely can. It's all about what you do on the field. But if Russell doesn't come play lights out, if he misses the playoffs next season, that's the dumpster fire I don't want to be a part of.
I think it's already a dumpster fire, and I don't think it's a good sign that nobody wants to take this job. It seems like, and D'Amico Ryans has just done a great job with the Niners, but. I mean, we'll see what he is as the head coach and who he hires as his OC to fix this, because the defense is going to be good regardless. But if you're going defensive-minded coach to take this job, I don't know. That's a lot of pressure on who you hire as the OC to fix the Russell Wilson stuff. So I don't know. We'll see. The Broncos are an interesting
Sean
spot.
Payton could only do it one time with Drew Brees, which is easily top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Could only win one Super Bowl with them. It never went more than one game into the playoffs after that. I don't understand how you think he's going to do it with the Russell Wilson we're seeing today. Maybe 5 years ago, Russell wasn't even bad last season, or he wasn't terrible. He didn't have the greatest supporting cast, but I just don't see some miracle turnaround happening for Denver this season. But also, I didn't see my Rams being the only team to not come back to the conference championships. We're the only team that didn't make it back, and that hurts. We didn't even make the playoffs. So, but at least we got the Super Bowl. I'll take that.
Well, I will say, before the year, I did say the Rams missed the playoffs. I thought this was it. But at least everyone's coming back, it seems like. That's the weird part, is Donald, Stafford, and McVay are back. I would never have guessed that after this year.
Dude, Von Miller promised me he would run it back when I was at that Rams parade. He was up there on the podium, and he's like, "Y'all want us to run it back?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "We're going to run it back." And then he went to the Bills. I was so salty.
Man. Well, it'll be fine. I think they'll be a little bit better. But we'll see with the Rams and how healthy they are and what they can do this offseason. But more than enough time to talk Rams on this podcast, Logan. The Jets hired Nathanial Hackett, speaking of ex-Broncos head coaches, as their next offensive coordinator. Aaron Rodgers speaking glowingly about the pass catchers and the options in New York on the Pat McAfee show this week. It seems like it's more and more likely that a trade is possible for Aaron Rodgers. We know how close he is with with Nathaniel Hackett. Does this feel inevitable now that we're going to get an Aaron Rodgers trade to the New York Jets? We know they want a veteran quarterback. We know they're going to make a move like that. We always kind of assumed it would be like Jimmy Garoppolo, but moving on from LaFleur as the OC, bringing in Hackett seems to indicate they're going to go out of the box here a little bit, not just go the Shanahan disciple type in Jimmy Garoppolo. I would be very much intrigued by this partnership and what that looks like, because I think the Jets have a bunch of talent, and they really are one of those teams that's a quarterback away. They got killed with injury luck on the offensive line this year, but Breece Hall will be back next year. I love their wideouts. They never traded Mims. They have a lot of dudes. CJ Uzomah they signed this past offseason, who I like a lot. The defense is top 10 in the league. They're going to be really good. I think this is a situation for Aaron Rodgers in the final 2 years where the Jets are right there. I actually like this partnership if it does end up happening. Do you like the potential fit of Aaron Rodgers in New York?
Yeah, I really like it, especially with Hackett coming in. These guys already have chemistry together. That's just such a big thing in football. It's always so tough when you go and it's the next season, and I'm talking about like high school or pee-wee football, but when you go and you meet a completely new coach, you don't know any of these nobody on the team, you don't have any of these players, so it just feels all completely new. It's kind of intimidating, and it makes it a lot harder for them to start to understand how you work and for you to understand how they work. And I think that chemistry is definitely something that's important, and I think that's why they went and made that move, is they want Rodgers. So, yeah, the Jets are definitely the favorite here, and yeah, right now it's looking pretty inevitable that he's going to end up there.
I think the AFC East could get really interesting because I think Tom is Miami bound. Like it almost happened this past offseason. I think Tom ends up in Miami for this last year.
I think Tom's going to pick a place with nice weather.
Yes.
I'm telling you that.
I don't think he's leaving the East Coast. I think he likes that weather, like you said. I think he likes that area. We did not see enough, and the concussion stuff is just brutal. Like, it would not surprise me at all if Tom Brady to Miami is where he ultimately ends up. But it's funny, too. I saw Marcus Spears of ESPN said, quote, he led the worst offense in the NFL last year. You're talking about Nathaniel Hackett. They did not hire him for anything other than saying, hey, Aaron Rodgers, we got your boy. That's exactly what Denver did this past offseason. They hired Nathaniel Hackett thinking that this was going to get Aaron Rodgers, and instead they had to trade for Russell Wilson because Aaron Rodgers went back to Green Bay. Nathaniel Hackett is just like this amazing lure to one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time to try and get the attention to get Aaron Rodgers over there. But I think now that the Packers lost and did not make the playoffs and had that rough ending to Detroit, and that being it, I think it really does feel like that was it for Aaron Rodgers, because I don't think that they're built for just dominance in the NFC North. Like, the Lions are coming, and I don't think the Vikings are going anywhere. You look at the Niners, they're built for the next 3 to 4 years. The Eagles are built for the next 3 to 4 years. I don't see a path for the Packers to get back to where they've been the last few, even with Aaron Rodgers running it back. So I think a divorce at this point would make a lot of sense for both sides, and you'll get a lot of compensation. And the Jets are, I feel like, the right team with the right assets to bring him in. I would love to see it. I think, I don't know, would that make the Jets an AFC favorite for you next year?
Who's in their division again? The
Dolphins, the Bills,
Patriots,
and the Patriots. Yeah.
Patriots, yeah. No.
Okay.
No. That's just a tough division. Just for those, it's almost impossible to get 3 teams in there, and I don't know if you're going to beat the Bills and Miami. It totally depends on what this offseason looks like. But you have weapons around Aaron Rodgers now. Like, if he ends up with the Jets, like Garrett Wilson, I'm sure he would love to play with that guy. You know, he just had the receiver this season that broke out. I'm blanking on his name.
Christian Watson?
Watson, yeah. So Christian Watson, you could see what he was able to do with that talent. And I think Garrett Wilson possesses that same talent and just doesn't have a consistent quarterback behind him. So, I would love to see that duo go out there and maybe tear it up like Devontae and him used to. Yeah,
I hope that happens. It would be fun if we got Brady, Rodgers, Mac Jones, and Josh Allen in one division. That'd be a lot of fun next year. But I also, if you're Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he's kind of screwed because the Packers, the reporting is that they're not going to trade him inside the NFC, which I've always thought was dumb when teams do this. We're not trading him in the conference. Like, who cares? Just get the best deal. Why would you just cut half the league out because you don't want to trade him in the, what? That makes no sense to me, because you're worried about seeing them in your side of the bracket in the playoffs. Like, who cares? If they gave you 3 first-round picks and the other conference would only give you 2, then you're just not going to do it because you're like, it's not our conference. We don't want.
If you're not going to win the Super Bowl, take what you can get. Take the best deal.
Yeah, I don't understand why they sabotage themselves in this way, but that's what it seems like is going to happen. So if he can't go to the NFC, I mean, the Jets make the most sense in the AFC for Aaron Rodgers. So that's something to monitor, and I think as a football fan, I would like to see it. The last coaching thing before we get into our weekend preview for the two tied conference championship games, Logan, the Pats brought back Bill O'Brien, former Houston Texans head coach, and most recently the Alabama offensive coordinator. I don't know what Payton has thought, or your brother, my cousin, since being a student, the entirety of the Bill O'Brien tenure at Alabama with Bryce Young and company. But they weren't exactly sad to see Bill O'Brien go back to the NFL. We'll see. They now have openings on both sides of the ball over there in Tuscaloosa. But what do you make of the Patriots bringing Bill O'Brien back into the fold as OC?
I think it's a very iffy idea. If you look at him when he was either an offensive coordinator or a head coach, so at a higher level, his teams were never winning. I don't know how he coached for the Patriots for that long and ended up not being part of any of the Super Bowl teams. Any of them. I just don't get it. And then he leaves, and they win a bunch of Super Bowls, and he comes back, and then he goes to Alabama. They were terrible this year compared to what they usually are. It's not, and they even got some extra weapons, like shout out to Jermaine Burton, also went to my high school. He's friends with Payton. But, yeah, he transferred from Georgia to Alabama, and, everybody lost a good amount of players last year. Georgia lost a lot of draft picks, but they still came out and just whooped everybody this season. And I know Bill O'Brien isn't the recruiter and doesn't make the final decisions, but when he's running an offense or the whole team, it just doesn't seem like he has very much success, except for that very brief time when he began with Deshaun Watson. And then he thought it was a good idea to trade away like DeAndre Hopkins for like nothing, basically. I think he was just realized he was going to get fired at some point, and he was like, I'm going to make this team really bad, so when I coach another team, we'll be better.
I don't know. I think people are way too harsh on Bill O'Brien. I think he's solid.
Might be. I might just hear too much and, be repeating what I'm hearing. But when I actually go and look at wherever he's been, whether it was like Penn State or coming your Alabama or the Patriots as an offensive coordinator or Texans as a head coach, there's just not a lot of success there.
So
especially for the standards
in scoring this past year at Bama, 41 a game.
Yeah, but it's the University of Alabama.
They were 6th the year prior. I don't know, man. Okay, I understand.
All right, that's a good point.
I don't think he's terrible. I just think he's fine. I think.
But how do you measure stats in college? Like if I'm running up the score 70-0 on like a D1 AA school or something, that should have nothing to do with. It's just harder to calculate scores because the defense can be so drastically different than the offense and skill level when it comes to college versus the NFL. Like you see 60-0 blowouts all the time. If you saw that in the NFL, you'd be like, what the hell happened today? So I'm like, it could just be Alabama beating up on some soft teams. They are mostly playing SEC schools, so I'll give them that. I think, I told my friend this before Utah lost in their bowl game and USC lost. I was telling him the Pac-12 he said the Pac-12 was good this year. And I go, no, the Pac-12 is overrated right now. Pac-12 is not even good. And I tried to go through and give him examples, but SEC doesn't play enough Pac-12 schools. But if you go back and look at the first game of the season, Georgia smacked Oregon. And then you go and watch the way Utah and USC lost to Tulane. But, yeah, it was just not.
Oregon State, though, waxed Florida.
Yeah, Oregon State. I was thinking about that. I was like, that's the one exception, but that wasn't one of the schools I was talking about. I was like, USC and Utah would be walking into a beatdown with a lot of these different SEC
and Utah
schools.
Should have beat Florida. That was a dumb loss early in the year. But I don't know. I think the thing with the Pac-12, it's kind of overrated in the player aspect and just the talent. I agree. They're not in the blue chip ratio by and large outside of USC and Oregon. But the quarterback play is legit. Like top to bottom, I don't think there's a better quarterback conference.
Right.
Like when you look at it, Michael Penix Jr. is insane. He was doing amazing stuff for Washington last year. They'll be a top 10 team this year. DTR was awesome for UCLA all season long. Caleb Williams just won the Heisman. He's a legit number one overall.
How many USC quarterbacks we see do that?
I mean,
Mark Sanchez. Well, we got Matt. Did Matt Leinart win one?
Yes.
Carson Palmer. And Barkley. He didn't win one, did he?
I don't know. Barkley never did, and Cody Kessler never did. Keaton Slovis did not. Old friend Max Brown.
But that's three.
Yeah.
That's three Heisman's right there playing quarterback for USC. And what do they have to show for it in the NFL? The best out of all of them is Carson Palmer.
Yeah.
And it's like not like he had a bad career, but he's not going to go down in history as a great quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like Caleb Williams. We'll see. We'll see how he does as a pro.
I was just saying, when you say the QB play, it's like the Heisman, we'll see how you do. You know, Johnny Manziel has a Heisman sitting up on his counter. So
it's true. But a great college quarterback.
Great college quarterback. Yeah. I hope Caleb Williams does well. He's really fun to watch, and I think his game could actually translate to the NFL level. But yeah, USC, they have great quarterbacks, and like you said, but that's not why Alabama's great every year. That's not why Georgia's great every year. They're great because they put together solid teams. Stetson Bennett is older than I am. I can still go back. I can still play, man. I can still get on that field and throw it around. I'd be 2 years younger than the oldest Heisman. I don't
recommend it though. You might get tossed around a little bit, Logan. I don't know if I'd recommend that for you. Biggest like what are the actually quick question?
Do
you think we asked your dad right now if he could throw one touchdown in Heupel's offense? Like if he put on pads right now, do you think he thinks he could score a touchdown with what Heupel is doing at this game? Do you think he would say yes?
He can't throw. His shoulder is so messed up. He fell off. His shoulders are like destroyed. He can't throw.
Okay.
He can't shoot very good like free throws at this point.
Does Payton think he could score with Alabama right now? Like if he went on the floor right now, do you think
Payton?
he would? Yeah. If we asked him right now.
Payton didn't even play at the high school level. Like scoring at what position? Like
no. I'm saying basketball. Like we put him with natives right now. Do you think he would? He's like, yeah, I would light it up right now.
He might say he would say it, you know, with his little dumb smirk and laugh and like, are you even being serious with me? Like I'm asking you a serious question. But yeah, dude, we went out and played yesterday and I took him down twice on 2-on-2.
Yesterday, is he back? Why is
it was like 2 or 3 days. Yeah, he's doing homeschool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he's getting his crap together.
Okay, there you go. Interesting.
Putting our foot down.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Payton, he was really good in high school. You know, you're just training every day. But when you're that size and you stop practicing like the skill, I feel like you lose it really quick. Like I did go out there and like the first game I went 3 from 5 from the 3-point line. Second game I went 4 for 4, and then I went 0 for 2 in the third game. But soon 7 for 11 from the 3. I was just lighting it up. But he did have the worst teammate. Like my teammate was really bad too, but if I was locking him down to defense, like I play solid defense, and I am nowhere near the level of a Division I college basketball player. So
I'm just retired.
He could
you know what
score. What?
So I fish, but
Yoga.
Also swimming is my jam. I've been retired since I broke my foot from running. I was an everyday runner, and then when I broke my foot, that was it for me. And now I'm just in the pool. I'm that guy at the gym, just hopping in the pool and doing my laps for 30 to 45 minutes. That's my go-to every day now. That's how I stay in shape.
I have a pool in my backyard, and I never use it.
I'm telling you, I would start doing the pool laps. The pool laps are refreshing, good full body workout. Clears your mind. It's good.
Yeah.
I'd recommend it. Get ready for old age, Logan, because everything, basketball, all of that will not be your friend when your body hits 30. Like it doesn't hit, it hits different. I'll just tell you that.
If I start training like Herschel Walker right now, I could do it. I could fight in the UFC when I'm like 40 or in a professional MMA fight. Or I could be a professional bobsledder.
That's also a possibility. Hey,
did you not know Did you not know Herschel Walker did those things?
I did not.
He was an Olympic bobsledder, and in his 40s, He fought 2 professional MMA fights and won both of them.
I knew that.
And I think it was Bellator.
Yeah. Bobsledding. That's something I've never done. I don't think I'll ever bobsled.
I think he won a bronze medal for USA in bobsledding. I think he won he was the guy pushing the sled like a tank.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In terms of what's going on this weekend, Logan, we've got San Francisco and Philly. I think whoever wins this game wins the Super Bowl. I think the Super Bowl winner is coming out of the NFC this year. I think the 2 best rosters in the NFL are in Philadelphia and San Francisco right now. I'm way more hyped about that one, I think, going into the weekend. But the biggest storyline for you heading into Niners Eagles is what?
It can't be anything but Brock Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant himself. Like I never thought I would see the day where I would actually see Mr. Irrelevant excelling on a football field. But I knew I would never see the day where Mr. Irrelevant was dominating the football field at quarterback in his rookie year. The stars aligned for this man. And if he can win a Super Bowl, like there's no one who could be like, oh yeah, I won my Super Bowl like younger than Brady. I think it was Brady's second season. And Joe Burrow almost was able to do that in the exact same fashion against the Rams, the way Brady did it. But to come out as a Mr. Irrelevant, and yeah, Brady has that huge underdog story. The same sort of things fell in line for him. But you immediately cement your place in history with this. Like, this is something you can make a movie out of. This guy was 1 pick from being undrafted. It doesn't mean you're not going to sign with a team eventually and that you're not going to play in the NFL. It just means you went undrafted and you got to figure something out, where to sign. 1 pick away from that, if the 49ers said, screw it, we've got 2 quarterbacks, we don't need another one, we'll sign somebody from free agency that sucks, where would they be right now? Where would Brock Purdy's career be going? It's just, the stars have aligned for him, and I'm really hoping things will go well for him. I love Jalen Hurts too, and the Eagles. I love that whole team, but you really love those underdog stories. This is something that we have never seen in the NFL. Somebody coming in the NFL so lowly drafted, such low expectations, and then they come out and are possibly taking you to the Super Bowl, winning you a Super Bowl. And to do that, you're not only having to beat Jalen Hurts in the 14-3 Philadelphia Eagles, you're going to have to take on Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Those are legendary matchups that if you win, it's like nobody can question your greatness. Like, it's one season, you got to be consistent to be great. But to be great that quick, it's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had a rookie quarterback win the Super Bowl or even get to the Super Bowl. It's never been done. And right now, I think there's a case. The Niners are playing the best football of anybody. They've won, 10 straight football games?
He's undefeated. I think he's got 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's undefeated in his starts. He threw 1 interception when he came in to back up Jimmy Garoppolo in that one game earlier in the season. Jimmy went out, I think, with a foot injury or something. And he came in for the fourth quarter and threw 1 pick. Like, in a game that really wasn't in his control, didn't really matter that much. It's his first time on a field. I'll give him that pick. And it's like, without that, you're 13-3 in your starts. That's phenomenal football.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. How do you think it goes? Who do you have winning on Saturday or Sunday?
I've got San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I've got to cheer for the underdog in this one. This is too good for them to lose. I feel like they're going to do it, that they're actually, but last week I was saying a bunch of stuff about how I didn't think that the Bengals looked like a Super Bowl contender with the way they played against the Ravens, and Joe Burrow just made me look like an idiot, and the whole team pretty much. So this one I feel like I'm guessing more with my heart. But yeah, they're undefeated with this guy starting at quarterback, and you haven't really seen him struggle too much.
Yeah, but it's also just the team around him is just dominant. Fred Warner, Bosa, you just go up and down the list. The Trent Williams,
But
Debo, Christian McCaffrey. There's so much freaking
well, yeah,
talent.
those guys. But your defense doesn't get you a 67% completion percentage. Doesn't
Yeah.
get you. He's like 100 and like maybe it was like 108 maybe QB or passer rating. That's just great numbers.
He's got a good connection with George Kittle. The Cy-Hawk connection. One went to Iowa, one went to Iowa State. But like you said, he's just calm, collected, confident, and I'm excited to see what happens with him and Jalen Hurts in that one. I have the Niners too, but I think it's going to be a really good game back and forth. So we'll see. Over there in the AFC, though, the biggest storyline heading into Cincy, Kansas City is what for you, Logan?
Kansas City. Oh yeah, the rematch, of course.
Yes.
This is the game that we saw last season going to overtime on a field goal, sending it to overtime, and then Patrick Mahomes threw that interception that was actually a great pass. It's just Tyreek couldn't get his arms out far enough, and that ball got deflected and tipped into the wrong guy's hands. Like if you go back and watch that ball is in his hands, and if he was able to get his hands out maybe 2-3 inches more, there's no way that guy's swatting the ball, and that's a big pickup. And I would usually say, oh, that was a dumb throw. There were two defenders there, but when you throw a dime like that, you can't blame the man. That's something that Patrick Mahomes it makes him special, is his ability to put a ball right on his guy, two people covering him, and still he had the misfortune of that just popping out and going the wrong way, and they pretty much just kick a short little chip shot for the win, and that's your season.
For sure. Did you see what Willie Gay, the linebacker for the Chiefs, said today about the
No.
Bengals offense? They asked him, they're like, what impresses you about the Bengals offense? And he said, quote, nothing. Just giving some fuel to the fire for Bengals, for the
Nothing.
Bengals. It's just, that's not something you want to say before this game, I don't think. I don't know, man. I think this is going to be a fun game. I hesitate with my pick because I'm like, if I think the Niners are going to win, I don't think both road teams win here. Like that's asking a lot for both road teams to win in tough atmospheres.
Isn't this week neutral site?
No, it would have been neutral site if Buffalo won. So if Buffalo beat Cincinnati, it would have been Buffalo and KC in a neutral site in Atlanta, actually. But no, because
that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, but because, and that was like the whole thing where like Joe and everybody was laughing. He's like, I hope y'all got your refunds. Sorry for your refunds.
They were selling the tickets before the game. Yeah. No,
Correct.
I just remembered why it was. Yeah.
So it's going to be in KC. I think I'm going to go Chiefs. I think they end it here. I think they bounce back. But I mean, Mahomes, the last time we saw him really look frazzled was against the Bengals last year at this time, like you said. And he was throwing a lot of picks. He wasn't himself. He was clearly in his head. And Tyreek, they just could not get on the same page. Tyreek, I remember being really upset at multiple times in the sidelines for that one. And it was obviously the last time Tyreek Hill played for the Chiefs. But they have somebody, Pacheco, I forgot how you pronounce his last name.
Pacheco.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco.
He's so fun. Like he puts his head down. He had that huge run against the Jags, and it's just he's got just top line speed, and he's fun to watch. Travis Kelce has been electric. Him and George Kittle have carried both their offenses too to this point. Like they're the linchpins of how this thing hums, and I think the Chiefs figure out a way. I think Mahomes does enough and gets the monkey off his back and beats the Bengals. But I think this will be another down to the wire game. I think both games are going to be super fun and super close.
Yeah, with like Kittle, I don't know who is making who better. If Brock Purdy is making Kittle better, if Kittle's making Brock Purdy better, because they're so good on that connection. It's like it's reviving his, even though his career, hasn't been that bad. He just hasn't been the same exact player we've seen, this season. And as soon as Brock Purdy comes in, this man is just a tank.
And who could forget, Travis Kelce is the only two-time MVP of the season, the Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player. 2 times.
Oh, MVP.
MVP, yeah. Many are saying it's the more popular award.
Dude, didn't Mitchell Trubisky win one of those?
It's very possible.
Dude, I was playing Madden the other day, and they had a card for Mitchell Trubisky. It was a Nickelodeon card for Madden Ultimate Team, and it said NVK, like awards, something like that. So they like put the winners and they gave them like their own cards. And I'm like, who gave Mitchell Trubisky an award?
He's just, that did not end well. The Mitchell Trubisky experience did not go well. So who do you have winning? Do you have Bengals or do you have Chiefs here?
Again, I want the Bengals to win, but in this one, I've got to say I think the Chiefs are going to win it. But every time I doubt Joe Burrow, it's just now that I realize it's at home. That's such a big difference. Arrowhead is the loudest stadium, like, and you can remember what happened in Peyton Manning's Super Bowl against the Seahawks, first play of the game.
Yeah,
and that was that's a neutral site that we're playing at. And they were still so loud that, snap the ball over the head, safety, first play of the game. They get the ball back, drive downfield. Now it's 9-0 to start the Super Bowl, and they get the ball at the half. It's just stuff like that can be easily changed by the crowd. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I'll say this too, and we can end here. I think the Chiefs, if the Chiefs win, then the Eagles lose, I think. And then it's like, I don't think you're getting 2 road wins. So it's like if the Bengals win, then I think the Eagles win and vice versa. So we shall see. Both games can be awesome. Glad they're both on Sunday. I'll be back in Atlanta to watch Clippers-Hawks up close on Saturday night. My wife taking her to her first Hawks game in person. So this is going to be fun. I'm excited for that over the weekend. It's going to be a lot of sports and a lot of good stuff.
You used to saying that yet? Your wife?
Yeah.
Your wife? You're like used to it now?
My wife.
This is my wife. Very nice.
It's very nice. Very nice. I would agree. Logan, thank you as always, my friend. And I will talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks for having me.